everybody. I'm just waiting for the live stream to get going here. This moment. All right, we're going. Oh. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang Dhammang Sanghang Namasami. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday afternoon Sutta study. I am Bhikkhuni Kachayana, and I'm joined here by three of my colleagues in monastic life. Let's see, I want to give a brief introduction to everybody. So I'm Bhikkhuni Kachayana. I've been here with Dhammadharini for about 8 years now. I ordained here first as an anagarika, then a samaneri, and now I am a bhikkhuni. Prior to that, I was in graduate school, and there was a lot of dukkha in graduate school, so I'm glad to be here now. Just letting you know who I am. I would like Venerable Dhammanusari then to introduce herself briefly. I know she needs to step away in a minute, but she could say, "What's your name, Venerable, and where are you from?"
I am Venerable Dhammanusari. I've been back and forth between Canada to here every 6 months. So I think this is my 3rd year so far. And I'm looking forward to come here every Vasa.
Thank you, Venerable. Venerable Dhammawara, you got your own mic. Would you like to say your name?
Greetings.
A little bit briefly about yourself?
Dhammavada. I've been in this monastery for just about 7 years. I also came as a lay steward and then stayed, became an anagarika and a seminary, and now a bhikkhuni. I came from Maine shortly after caring for my mother for several years and with a brief interlude at the Goenka retreat centers.
You can keep your mic. And yes, and Venerable, would you introduce yourself briefly?
Sure. I'm Ayah Sanghamita from Malaysia, Sri Lanka Buddhist Temple. So this time I'm here in Dhammadharini, especially is for join the Vasa for this year, besides to learn the Vinaya from Ayah Tathaluka. So I has been ordained for 12 years, 10 years as a seminary and 2 years as a bhikkhuni. So I'm a young bhikkhuni, so a lot to learn from the bhikkhuni Sangha here.
Thank you, Venerable. So today we're continuing in our current series, which we're calling The Wisdom of the Sangha, and sharing many Sangha voices together. So, and letting you meet some of our monastics here. And so today the four of us, Venerable Dhammanusari will be back shortly. She needs to step away for a few minutes, but the four of us will be sharing about the Sambodhi Sutta. So last Tuesday we started with the theme of spiritual friendship, and I think we all decided we liked that theme, and we have more to say about it. And also the Buddha has more to say about it. So we are going to, well, let's jump into the sutta. This is Anguttara Nikaya 9.1, Sambodhi Sutta. I'm going to share it on the screen here. And this one tells us about the great potential of spiritual friendship, how it can be onward leading on the path, how it develops many other factors on the path. So I'm going to start just with the introduction, and then I'll invite my colleagues to jump in at various points. So I have heard, At one time, the Buddha was staying near Sawati in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's monastery. There the Buddha addressed the mendicants. Mendicants, if wanderers of other religions were to ask, Reverends, what is the vital condition for the development of the awakening factors? How would you answer them? And they reply, our teachings are rooted in the Buddha. There's a ... which means, we take the Buddha as our teacher. Please tell us. The mendicants will listen and remember it. The Buddha says, well then, mendicants, listen and apply your mind well. I will speak. Yes, sir, they replied. The Buddha said this, Mendicants, if wanderers of other religions were to ask, Reverends, what is the vital condition for the development of the awakening factors? You should answer them as follows. But before we get to the answer, I would like to invite Venerable Sanghamita to tell us, what are these awakening factors? I don't know if everyone is familiar with this particular list. So what are we talking about here? Why do we want to develop these things? What are they?
Okay, thank you, Katrina. So the 7 factors for the 7 awakening factors. The first one is sati, which we translate as mindfulness. The second is dhamma vichaya, investigation of the dhamma. The third one is virya, energy. The fourth is piti, joy. The fifth, passaddhi, we can understand as tranquility. And the sixth is samadhi, concentration. And the seventh is upekkha, equanimity. So let me explain in short. So sati here refers to a state of mind which is open and being present with what is happening, both wholesome and unwholesome, externally or internally, such as when we observe our thoughts, our feeling and sensation. So mindfulness is receptive awareness that allows one to observe the experience without immediate reaction. Also, I was thinking about in advanced stage while we practice meditation. If we have sati, means we are able to adjust the balancing between the energy and concentration, so that we can reach for the rise of wisdom. About the Dhamma Vichaya, investigation of the Dhamma is a mind quality that able to distinguish between the wholesomeness and unwholesomeness of a mental activity. In practical, in meditation, so this factor would involve, for example, if we are practicing observing the rising and falling of the abdomen, so by having this investigation of Dhamma capability means you are able to see the softness or the harshness of the abdomen. There's a heat or cold in your abdomen, the motion of slow or fast. So you're able to discern that. You're able to see. So the third point is virya, energy. This one refers to the efforts and determination that you are able to make to abandon the unwholesome quality in the mind and to cultivate the wholesome. That means whenever there's unwholesome mindset arise, you are aware about it, and then you put on energy to abandon it, not to attach to it, neither to identify the unwholesome mindset as my mind. Yeah. So in meditation concern, for example, if the mind is carried away by thought, and then your job is to arouse this effort to bring back the mind to the meditation object. For example, if you are observing the rising and falling of the abdomen, come back to the your meditation object that you need to put efforts on that. The fourth one is piti, joy. Joy is a feeling of happiness, delight, or enthusiasm that arise from your practice. For example, There will be a rising of joy when you found that you are more capable in directing your mind to your meditation object than before. So the joy arises. The fifth one is passaddhi, tranquility. This is the experience of calmness and serenity. So this state of mind is the beginning where bring your mind into samadhi concentration, where your mind in a state of in concentration, there will be stability and clarity in the mind. Then you are being able to focus on your meditation object all the time. The last factor is upekkha, equanimity. It is about accepting the thing as they are without being overwhelmed by them. For example, this is a state of mind where you are being aware of your mind experience without attached to it if it is pleasure, and also without arise the feeling of hatred if it is ugly, or you not get what you wish for during your meditation. So these factor how in order to develop these factors of awakening, we need to first have a good friend, like Akachana say. Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, why are they called awakening factors?
These factors are called awakening factor because it leads to the awakening. So this is the important factors that we need to have in order to attain awakening.
Right. Sadhu. So then, so these are very important for us, right? And
Exactly.
they're important in our meditation. Are they only for meditation?
Not so, but also in daily life itself, besides theoretically, we need to understand how it works and then put in the practice in daily life besides sitting meditation.
Mhm.
Yeah, because habit itself creates a lot of habitual karma,
Mhm.
what brings the consequences if you want to gain enlightenment.
Okay, great. So then these are the factors that lead us to awakening. And then the sutta is going to tell us more about how do we get these factors? How do we develop these factors? And that's the question that the Buddha was asking the mendicants, is like, how do we develop this? If somebody else asks you, how do you develop, piti, equanimity, what do you say to them? So that's the Buddha's question. I want to pause here and see if anyone has any comment or question about this so far, and then we'll go on to what the Buddha said about how you develop this. Anyone? Anything to come with at the moment? No? All right, then I think I will invite Venerable Dhammawara. Would you be willing to tell us at least the first thing that the Buddha said about how to develop the awakening factors? What are the vital conditions for that? Are you comfortable holding that, or shall I hold you? Okay.
Venerable mendicants, if wanderers of other religions were to ask, Reverends, what is the vital condition for the development of awakening factors? You should answer them. It's when a mendicant has good friends, companions, and associates. This is the first vital condition for the development of the awakening factors.
And can you explain that?
I'm going to let the Buddha explain.
Let the Buddha explain.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Can anyone else explain it? Any ideas? How does having good friends lead us to develop the awakening factors? No? Ananea, were you? Oh, do I need, are you, okay, I need to let you unmute yourself. explanation?
I think it's okay.
Okay, here we go.
Well, Sangha and friendships on the path are, I think the Buddha says it's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So, and by virtue of having such friends and developing such friendships, you have the opportunity to, for Dhamma discussions and to continue themes of, many of my Kalyana Mittas have done long retreats, and when any of us gets back, we get together and we go over, what were the highlights of that retreat, or what things may have come up, and then keep in touch, throughout the months and years, actually, and it's huge. It makes a huge difference to be operating in isolation as opposed to having people who are on the path, and in terms of support and in terms of just one scope of learning and development.
Okay, great answer from personal experience. Thank you. Anyone else? Leo, yes. Come up. That one is easier.
Good friends serve to mirror back to us our good qualities and remind us of our intentions and our practices. So being surrounded by people who are engaged in the same activities support focus, which leads to concentration.
Yeah, thank you. All right. So these are some good ideas about how good friendship can support the awakening factors. So that's the first vital condition. Would you like to read the second vital condition for developing the awakening factors? First is having good friends, and then?
Furthermore, a mendicant is ethical, restrained in the monastic code, conducting themselves well, and resorting for alms in suitable places, seeing danger in the slightest fault. They keep the rules they've undertaken. This is the second vital condition for the development of the awakening factors.
2. Any thoughts? How is this so? How is it so that developing, being ethical, conducting yourself well, seeing danger in the slightest fault, keeping the rules you've undertaken, how is this a vital condition for the awakening factors? Any thoughts? How about Venerable Sanghamita?
Well, in my opinion, it's because when we restrain ourselves, we undertake the sila by having a good friend, then as we understand, if we are able to differentiate what is wholesome and unwholesome, and always keep ourselves in check, those unwholesome we would not do, and those wholesome we will do before any action that we take. So in that way, because we are checking ourselves, that must have a sense of sati, mindfulness include.
Yeah.
So as we understand, one of the factors of some factors of awakening is sati, the first one, the mindfulness. So if one is practicing the sila, morality, then that means that you need to have mindfulness always to check yourself, to know what is wholesome mind state or unwholesome, and what action that I will do is wholesome or unwholesome before you perform any action. So the mindfulness is there. That's why by having a good friend and you keeping your morality is a foundation supporting factors for the sati, the mindfulness factors of awakening.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, especially for the bhikkhunis, we have so many rules, so many precepts. We have 311
Yeah.
precepts. And a lot of them just require you to pay good attention to things, right? Like you have to know if somebody offers food, is the food offered or not? If they offered, this muffin and not that muffin, you have to know which muffin was offered. This kind of thing. You have to like keep track.
If you're unsure, check, do it again.
Right, but ideally, right? You're watching, like what you have to know very clearly what has been offered, what has not been offered, and it's your responsibility as a bhikkhuni to know that, to be clear on that. And so you just have to kind of pay attention to what's going on around you with the food at a mealtime in a way that you don't have to otherwise. This is just one example. That it requires mindfulness about something that otherwise you can just very mindlessly, go to the kitchen and start grazing, right? People do this. They go to the kitchen, just grab this, grab that, and distraction, go sit at the TV, whatever. But we're not able to do that as bhikkhunis. That would be a fault for us to just go and take and grab and eat. And so we have to pay attention and we have to be mindful. We have to watch out what's going on and think of like, how do we handle any given situation in the world? Do you have any thoughts about this? Any examples?
Actually, I was just looking at a different sutta, but I'd like to read one paragraph of that.
Sure.
And how is it, bhikkhus, that by protecting oneself, one protects others? The Buddha goes on to say, by the pursuit, development, and cultivation of mindfulness, it is in such a way that by protecting oneself, one protects others. And how is it, bhikkhus, that by protecting others, one protects oneself? By patience, harmlessness, loving kindness, and sympathy. It is in such a way that by protecting others, one protects oneself.
Sadhu, sadhu. Okay, yeah. So yeah, sila has many benefits. Protecting oneself, protecting others. You have to start paying attention. We were talking this morning about the little insects. You have to start paying attention to the little insects. If you're not going to hurt them, you have to have some sort of attention to them and care for them. And just in all these ways, the ethical restraint helps us to pay more attention to the world and be more mindful about what we're doing. So yes, very much connected to the first awakening factor of sati. And I think you were also saying a little bit about the Dhammavicaya, knowing what's wholesome and what's unwholesome.
Yeah.
Investigating.
Right.
You have to look at your mind state. Yeah. So that's the second awakening factor. Any other awakening factors connected with ethics? Nope.
I think naturally by practicing ethic, and then they will arouse joy, the piti.
Yeah.
Why? Because those practicing morality is wholesome thing that nature bring joy. And while you have joy, you have more energy because you're happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing something that you're not happy, is rarely that you would put effort and continuously.
Sadhu.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because for awakening, it requires continuous energy, not like you do it one day, you rest 3 days. Yeah, not in that way, consistently.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, great. All right, so that's 2 vital conditions for development of the awakening factors. Let's go on to number 3. Would you like to read this one? Okay.
Furthermore, a mendicant gets to take part in talk about self-effacement that helps open the heart when they want without trouble or difficulty. That is, talk about fewness of wishes, contentment, seclusion, aloofness, arousing energy, ethics, immersion, wisdom, freedom, and the knowledge and vision of freedom. This is the third vital condition for the development of the awakening factors.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Any comment on that one? No? Okay. All right. I see a hand from Sikamano Adiawangsi. Yes? You'll need to, unmute.
Thank you so very much, Ajay. For this one, I believe I heard about a lot of teaching from the monk in Thailand about, okay, if you try to make yourself like a dirty rat, you be a useful one. I mean, the dirty rat is to clean everything dirty. That's why you call it dirty rat. If you try to make or send a feeling that you just only a dirty rag, can't get you out of caught up or attached to self-effacement. This is a lot of monks use this kind of sample to teach people to get themselves out of attached to self, to kind of like try to make yourself like a rat. And also Pajanantayani at Nirodharam have sample like this, like all our body have a dirty stuff, and she said, we've been nothing else but a mobile laboratory, because we stop with all the dirty inside, the blood, all those things in our stomach, So those sense of try to think or see the truth of being and can get you out of the sense of attached to self, or you only think this is only your body is only 4 elements. It's not your so-called body. It's not your. So that's me. I think that's maybe can help you to get out of the attachment. I think that's all I want to say. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. So you've had the benefit of getting to take part in talk about self-effacement by going to these great teachers in Thailand and being able to hear about this, the example of the rag, and then that sinking into your heart, it sounds like, and maybe opening the heart. So yes, absolutely, being able to hear about that, being able, I think this one, it's not very difficult to see how this would develop the awakening factors because it's directly related. It's being able to just hear about them. And from somebody who knows, who's interested, letting go of our wishes about being content. It's not exactly the same list as the awakening factors, but there's some overlap here. Contentment is a bit like passaddhi, and there's energy here, there's samadhi here, all of this. So, you have any comment? Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to share about this self-effacement. There's one sutta in Majjhima Nikaya, number 8. It's called Salika Sutta, especially talk about self-effacement. So here the Buddha said to Brahmachunda, you should work on self-effacement in each of the following ways. Others people will be cruel, but here we will not be cruel. Others will killing living creatures, but here we will not killing living creature. Others will steal, will uncast, will lie, will speak divisively, harshly, nonsense. But here we will not. So this in a way that we can understand like self-restraint, right? And other people, you see people around you are doing this, especially in the worldly life, right? You see other people around that doing this unwholesome thing, but we self-restrain. So we're telling ourselves we are not going to do, even though everyone is doing. Yeah. The Buddha say how this can be done through 4 ways. The first, at least we need to give rise to the thought that I will not do this. The second method is by bypassing the unwholesome action other people are doing, but I will bypass it, I will not do. The third is to have the wholesome quality instead of doing the unwholesome thing. So we counteract it with the wholesome to leading ourselves upwards in morality. And the fourth one is by extinguishing the unwholesome thought and action at all. Yeah. So this is the way to have self-abasement.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you. Okay. Shall we go on to the next vital condition or any last comments on this one? All right, let's go to the next. Will you read it for us, Sven?
Furthermore, a mendicant lives with energy roused up for giving up unskillful qualities and embracing skillful qualities. They are strong, staunchly vigorous, not slacking off when it comes to developing skillful qualities. This is the fourth vital condition for the development of the awakening factors.
Sadhu, sadhu. Okay. How does this one connect?
That we have to be mindful and vigilant at all times. We don't get days off from being mindful and vigilant. We're practicing every moment. There's always something to learn in every moment.
Sadhu,
There's
sadhu.
energy to rouse when we don't want to wash the dishes or when we don't want to do anything. We rouse up that energy to open our heart to give to others, but also to get over our own limitations. Yes.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes, it's tempting to take days off. You think maybe I'll just take these robes off for a day and, go have a little vacation, eat dinner, watch a show. No. No, we don't get days off from monastic life, and there's a reason for that. It's because it keeps us keeps our energy up in this way. The robes in themselves aren't that important. They're not magical or anything, but they're a reminder that we should be keeping our energy up in the ways that you mentioned. So yeah, absolutely.
Especially like our mind work in this way. So if you want to take a day off, if you think about that, and then you find some excitement. After that, you get boring. After boring, you want to get another assignment. So there's no ending. There's a kind of unsatisfactory in nature. So that's why in monastic life we have to. You are not like distracted by those assignments, but you just look at your mind. This is the time for cultivate. If that uh, the bothering mind arise or we have the unwholesome emotion, so this is time to practice. Keep on track.
Sadhu, sadhu. Yes, welcome back, Venerable Dhammanusari. In a minute, I'm going to ask you about energy. But first I'm going to see if what Sikamana Aryawangsi would like to share with us.
Okay. Thank you so very much. For this one, I want to sample why I'm here with my daughter. And I have to keep myself that I'm a monastic person. I have to keep on the rule. Even I'm here in the house. 3 days, I have to go out, sleep in the tent. That's the rule. You cannot sleep in the same room with lay person. Everyone know that, right? In 75 rule. And when I come on airplane, I try to guide like this is a push. This is, I don't know who's gonna sit by me, but this is only luck. This time I have a female sit by me all the time. So I hope the way to get to San Fran is be that way. And this is what Buddha tell you. No matter what in condition, what in your situation, you have to keep your mind, stick with the rule. One time when I fly back to Thailand, I have no clue what time or how it look like, because everyone shut the window. I don't know it's daytime or nighttime. I cannot eat nighttime, but it seemed to be the right time for me to have meal, and they serve breakfast. And that's because I'm not sure am I flying across the what you call the day and night line,
Right, the
on
international
airplane.
date line, right?
Yeah, this is kind of like, okay, you know what? Let me do this way. I'm just gonna keep up the meal because I'm not sure if I done it and then the airplane fly across the line, I will be eating at night. So just I won't die if refill one meal. So that means you have to keep up. You have to have energy to keep the thing up for yourself with the rule. So it's kind of like give you more energy to go on and give you more strength for something else that more, because it's especially when you go on outer of your monastery, it's a lot of stuff that you have to be careful, because we have to keep our rule, and the other they don't know our rule, like sometimes when I walk at airport, I have to watch out for the guy. Because sometimes they hurry, they might hit me, or they might run onto me and something like that. That's what you kind of like. In some condition, you have to be more awareness and your own rule when you with the lay person, such as your family, your whatever you go do visiting, or you go do outside do your business, but it have to involve with the lay person life, but you have your rule to follow. So I bring it up because I have experience of flying and stay with my daughter here, but I still have to keep the rule. I have to wake up and do my prayer as I'm in monastic. I have to do prayer in the evening. I have to do prayer before I eat. All this you cannot just bring to the living as a lay person. Sometimes you have to tell whoever you be with about your rule. Like the food, they cannot take the food out before I eat. I have to be the one, or if they want to give it to me, they have to kind of like separate out. This part is for me, this part is for them. If the whole thing and then they scoop out that food, I cannot eat, something like that. You have to kind of like teaching the lay person that's such as family to understand what your role is, to be continue and be strong and have energy to rise up in monastic life. That's all I want to say.
Yeah.
Thank you so very much.
Yes, thank you. Good examples of energy. Also the mindfulness, also the, just keeping the ethics of our 311 precepts. So a lot of these come into play in what you just said. Thank you. Karina, let's hear. Please.
Yes, hello everyone. Yes. I'm a bit tired today, but I just wanted to find out if you could speak about the skillful qualities. Because I was thinking, as a lay person, and we have the 5 precepts, and and more if we want. But I was just thinking, what to arouse, what skillful qualities to arouse energy for, I think would be helpful for me to hear.
Right. Thank you. Yes. So Sikimana Aryawangsi has given a full example of how this can be in monastic life, at least one way of living the monastic life. But yes, these qualities are not limited to monastics. These are for everybody. Everyone can rouse up energy. Let me just so in the sutta here, what it says is energy roused up for giving up unskillful qualities and embracing skillful qualities. Venerable Dhammanusari, do you have any thought? What are the skillful qualities that one can develop or unskillful ones that they can give up, even in lay life? What's important that?
I believe it doesn't matter lay lives or monkhood life to get the energy. I try as much happy and patient. This is what in my experience. No matter how busy or no matter you think that time that we're not available for you to do things, but when you keep your mind happy and energy, do not disagreement with anything that arises. I know it's hard of life that's why we be looking forward not to living in the samsara, and for a monkhood, I believe everyone have just one dream as a monk, to let go and did not want to return for the samsara. So my recommend is happy and to get your energy. And if you're asking me back, how could I happy if I lack of the energy? Sit down aside. If you like to do the chanting, get the book, read the chanting. And while you take a 5 precepts, sit down and do some meditation or walk, go to a little ocean, beach a little bit, restrain yourself from all the difficult time that you think that will get you to a difficult time. I don't know is that my recommend to you is work or not. But for myself, yes, as we are monk, we eat twice a day. And sometimes we busy with all the activity of the temple. But I try to get a lots of patience, much patience. And this patience have to come with the metta to everyone around me, and to leave my heart open to share like the body, the mental, the physical, all the things that you can show up to yourself and to other. We pay respect. And after a while, you forgot it. You forgot you sick or your energy down. You forgot it. And when you pass this through, I am happy. And if I happy, I believe everybody happy too. And one side, when you're happy, you can see your feeling, and which is helping you more with the outside, I think the body. Because this body, when you don't know how to control it, it could move to a wrong thing. Even, when people walking to somewhere, to the mall, to the shopping, because they lack of the energy, or they lack of the, I mean, not lack of, they got stress. They bump to each other. They show the way of the walking. It's not a harmony walk. It's like, So when you restrain yourself by thinking that the body action, I think in this sutta where had mentioned about virya too. Yeah, the virya on that thing. So I believe there, if I might, it's have a 6 or 5. The body action, mental action, physical action, verbal action, and well, I think is that enough for me to to share.
Can I share something?
Yes, please.
Thank
I
you.
think the question is really answered by what we discussed today. The vital conditions. The first one is a good companion, good friends, right? So to keep the 5%, how to arise the energy, the first thing to have a good friend. So you will encourage each other, yeah, to keep this precept, and you know this is something right. And when you stay in a right group with this good companion, you are always be encouraging, and you know that you are not working on this path alone, so you got more energy. Why? Because you are in a group, you have friends there, though you're having the same goal, going for the same destination rather than alone. So it helps to arouse a lot of energy there, and you always have someone to listen to you when you keep the precept. If you have any difficulty or if you have any joys, by able to overcome the obstacle or keep the precept, always there is someone to listen. So I think first thing to have a good friend in a right group that's supportive a lot.
Yes, Satu, Satu. Thank you both for your sharing. And Karina, do you want to say any more? I see your hand still up.
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for those good reminders. Yes, it reminds me. So lately I've been getting very few hours of sleep, and my partner's also been sick at home. And today we found out he's got COVID. So it's like we're both down. but but I'm actually bright in my mind, and the way what you I don't understand why. But what you described reminds me, and something Damanusari, something you said in the very beginning about like accepting reality, or I think that's like keeping a happy, a positive outlook, and just accepting reality, accepting what it is. I remember a teacher told me once, like, don't fight with reality. You're not going to win. uh, that helps a lot. It's like just allowing things to happen that are happening. Sounds silly, but yeah. Thank you all for your reminders and your help.
Thank you very much. That's a wonderful question, Karina, and thank you for bringing that up. I do see Sikamana Aryawangsi's hand, but I also want to move ahead with the sutta. Is it okay if we go on to the next point and we'll get back to you later? Okay, thank you. All right. So we've got 4 vital conditions for the arising of or the development of the awakening factors. Okay, what's the 5th?
Have a 5th. Mendicants. Furthermore, a mendicant is wise. They have the wisdom of arising and passing away, which is noble, penetrative, and leads to the complete ending of suffering. This is the 5th vital condition for the development of the awakening factors.
Sadhu. So this one I find interesting because it's talking about the complete ending of suffering, but then that's the condition for the arising of the awakening factors. It seems like you'd already have them, right? How do you understand that? Okay, you'll think about that. Anyone else have a thought about that? Right, it says they have the wisdom of arising and passing away, which is noble, penetrative, and leads to the complete ending of suffering. And then this is the 5th vital condition for the development of the awakening factors. So how do you understand that? It seems a little bit out of order, maybe. I mean, I have an idea about it, but well, I want you to think about it. Yes, Sikamana Ariawangsi, what do you think?
Okay, thank you so very much. If the last sentence say complete ending of suffering is mean nibbana, am I right? So the last one, the wisdom one, is mean you have vicha. Vicha is mean you have knowledgeable how to pull yourself out of samsara. At least you know the step to do, and then it come up to be you got to do it, because for the mind to thought and the really act sometimes, like if you read the book you understand what the Buddha say, but sometimes in yourself something you really cannot control yourself to do it, to do so. When come to the word ending of suffering, that's the whole because you're complete is a vicha, is a you're knowledgeable. We come to be born from paticca samubad. Is the first one. You have a vicha. A vicha is the first one to bring you here to be born. And the other side of paticca samubad. Paticca samubad will have to line up. The first one, what is bring us to be born? And the second one is how we eliminate the list to bring us to be born, to be not born. So the first one is avisha, to bring us to be born. Now we kind of study Buddha word. Just right now, we try to help each other with different idea, different point of view, to get the difference out of yourself. Out of yourself thought, but have the other different thought, and you bring it up to thinking about, maybe give you the other angle to do yourself. You got learn something new, something like that. I be in Nirotaram. I tell you, I learned a lot from different monastic friends. In different one have teach me in different angle, and I'm here to learn from your angle too. And I learned a lot in a couple of days that's been talked and shared with you in drama. So we just gonna keep sharing to get more knowledgeable how to do to get to the successful of nibbana, because now all of us not really clearly, or maybe clearly but not get there yet. I'm not sure who level is, but all of us want to get to the complete ending of suffering, which is mean nibbana. We all but try to get to nibbana by learning Buddha in the different angle from each other. So-called, we have a good friend from the first one. We are a good friend to each other for the lay person who come and listen to us, because we close to the book. We kind of have more time to learn the book, but lay person have to kind of like go on in the lay life to working and take care of the things, also support monastic person also. So thank you very much for that. But this one, I think the learning Buddha word is the way to improve yourself to complete ending of suffering. Thank you so very much.
Yeah, thank you. So yes, the learning is creating some degree of wisdom, even if we aren't quite all the way yet. Richard, I thought you might have something to say here. I welcome your thoughts about this. How do you interpret this section here?
Thank you. Sorry I was late for the class. I had a bad attack of vertigo earlier, and it finally went away a little while ago.
Glad you're feeling better. I'm sorry about that.
This particular sutta is a description of one who has become a bhikkhu, a monastic, and the process of development. And the fifth section has led them up to achievement of sotapan. So we see that first they've come to the understanding of, who are the true good friends. So this is entering into the monastic Sangha. Then as an enter into the monastic Sangha, they've taken up the rules and regulations, seeing the danger in the slightest fault, which means they're very, what's the word, conscientious of doing everything in the correct way. Then it says they can hear without trouble or difficulty, talk about contentment with solitude, arousing energy. I'm sorry, my focus is not that good, I think because of the vertigo, but it says here somewhere about desire a few wishes. I just can't see it right now. This is, Buddha describes the fifth stage on the path, that the becoming a bhikkhu is the best way to observe it. And he describes it that way, one of few wishes, okay, that you're easily content with little. The next one, number 4, this is where you go into right effort. He describes right effort as understanding the wholesome and the unwholesome, and actually dividing your mind to bring up the wholesome and let the unwholesome go away, and it leads into mindfulness, and then ultimately into samadhi. And then the fourth one, the fifth one, that's why he brings into this. Here it's translated as wisdom. I prefer to call it understanding, which is noble. So that means he's attained at least sotapan at this point. He's attained the noble path. His mind has become noble. He's one of the noble attainers now. Now, of course, one can attain it even without this, going through these steps of becoming a monastic. But what the Buddha is trying to point out is, this is what you tell people of other sects when they ask, well, why should you do this, right? Or other people, because you're trying to get to that noble state of mind, because it's that noble state of mind that will now enable you to go on and attain nibbana. Anyways, that's my view. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah, thank you very much for laying that out so beautifully, Richard. Yeah, I think that matches more or less my interpretation here of that this mendicant is wise, but not yet an arahant. So the wisdom here is the wisdom of somebody who has, attained the noble path. So someone who has attained sotapanna. But they have not gone all the way yet. And then this is the reason that this is a vital condition for the development of the awakening factors. The awakening factors, I think they are both the qualities that lead to awakening, and they are also the qualities of an awakened mind. They get strengthened and gets solidified and become much more more frequently the regular state of the mind, or a state that is accessible to a mind of somebody who has seen the Four Noble Truths for themselves, who has attained stream entry. So they still have a long way to go. They've still got a lot of greed and hatred and delusion left, but they have a strength and an access to these awakening factors at that time. So they need a degree of that leading up to that, and then they have this degree of wisdom that helps strengthen that, and then they have to go the rest of the way still after that. So, okay. I want to go on with the sutta here. Will you read us here, Venerable? So we've talked about what are these vital conditions, and then we go back another step, like how do we get these vital conditions? How does it come about that we're ethical and so forth? Will you read for us?
Read for you. A mendicant with good friends, companion, and associates can expect to be ethical. A mendicant with good friends, companions, and associates can expect to take part in talk about self-effacement that helps open the heart. A mendicant with good friends, companions, and associates can expect to live with energy roused up. A mendicant with good friends, companions, and associates can expect to be wise. But then a mendicant grounded on these 5 things should develop 4 further things.
Let's pause there. Yeah, thank you very much. So I feel like we've already actually we've talked about this. I think this goes back to Ananea's point at the beginning, is that having good friends gives us all these other opportunities also. It gives us the opportunity to live ethically and take part in supportive talk. You were talking about coming back from retreat and being able to talk with others about that, and just what a great blessing that is, to have the good friends that you can talk about that with. Any other thoughts about this section? How is it that good friends lead to the other vital conditions?
I think about the vital condition of a wisdom. It can be connected because it's seeing the arising and passing away of the nature. So it relate to the 7th organic factors. There's equanimity, where one seeing the rising and passing away, so no more attachment to that pleasant condition, mind state, or unpleasant. Yeah.
Do. Okay. Any other comments about this? I think we have been talking about this all along, really, the fact that the good friends are a foundational part of this. So, and here's good news. A mendicant with good friends, companions, and associates can expect to be wise, the type of wisdom that is associated with stream entry. So that's good news for all of us if we're able to be good friends to each other. That this promise is there, that this practice is onward leading in that way. So just want to highlight good news. All right. However, that's not the end of the path, and you are getting into the next part. So would you like to read, okay, after you've got all this stuff, what next?
Next. But then a mendicant, grounded on these 5 things, should develop 4 further things. They should develop the perception of ugliness, to give up greed, love, to give up hate, mindfulness of breathing, to cut off thinking, and perception of impermanence, to uproot the conceit of I am. When you perceive impermanence, the perception of not self becomes stabilized. Perceiving not self, you uproot the conceit, I am, and attain extinguishment in this very life.
Satu, satu, satu.
Beautiful. Do you have any comments?
I do, but I want to know if anybody else has comments. Like, why these 4 things? So we should develop the perception of ugliness. So that's asubha, the asubha practice, usually practiced by looking at the foulness of the body, the 32 parts of the body, and seeing them as kind of gross, actually. Um, that's the usual way of practicing asubha. Love, metta, so metta bhavana, development of loving kindness, mindfulness of breathing, and perception of impermanence. Why these 4? Why do we need to practice these 4 after we've already become wise and stream enters?
I'm sorry, Venerable. I cannot hear you.
Oh, can't hear? Are others able to hear Venerable Sangamita?
No. No.
No,
Okay.
not able to hear Venerable Sangamita. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, maybe her microphone is dying.
Could be.
Might be out of batteries.
Oh.
Yeah, Venerable, you could hand yours over. Yeah, sorry about that. Thanks for letting us know.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I think because that fourth type of meditation practice is to eradicate the greed, hatred, and delusion. How to eradicate the greed is by practicing contemplate on the ugliness, on the beautiful things. And then the second is to practice metta, loving kindness, to counteract hatred. And the third is to practice seeing the impermanence, then give rise to the wisdom about non-self. So can eradicate the conceit of I, so that which eradicate the delusion. And then the third one we see the contemplate on the breathing, right? Which brings much mindfulness, because mindfulness is a foundation, strong factors with which lead us to awakening, because mindfulness always help to balancing the other factors, where when those other factors are balanced, then you can reach the destination. Otherwise, when it's too much or lack of other quality, then it's impossible. Yeah.
Sadhu. Yeah, thank you. I saw a hand from Karina. I'd like to invite you if you're still interested, and then we'll go to Richard.
Oh, thank you. No, I was pretty much going to say the same thing. So sadhu, sadhu.
Great, all on the same page. Richard, do you have additional thoughts about this?
Thank you, Ed. Just momentarily, I wanted to go back to number 5. Unfortunately, my brain is not working that well. He possesses the wisdom that discerns the arising and passing away. I'm reading from Bhikkhu Bodhi's. Oh, you went there. Okay. So this arising and passing away, everyone might remember that this is what Kondona sees when he becomes the first stream enterer. All that which is subject to arising is subject to cessation. So this is that sign that one has attained stream entry. Whereas in these last 4 types of things, it says the perception of impermanence should be developed to eradicate the conceit I am. In other words, you build on that insight that everything is just coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. So you're using these other ways here. First, you want to kind of separate yourself out. So the reason that you see unattractive, it doesn't mean it's ugly or foul or anything like that. It means that an attraction to those things is what's going to bind you to this world. So you just start letting go of those attractions, and therefore you don't develop sensual desires and things like that. Again, loving kindness, that's kind of clear, to abandon ill will. Mindfulness of breathing should be developed to cut off thoughts. So as you're practicing jhana, first jhana, you have vitaka vichara. This is some kind of thought, which Buddha advised you to use. I breathe in long, I breathe out long. So those are thoughts. I breathe in long, I breathe out long. And repeating those is vichara, right? Where you just keep repeating them, but you're aware of what's going on. So you notice that your breath gets subtler, and you enter into second jhana, you drop that vitaka vichara. So you might say still hyper clearly consciously aware at that point, but you don't have to rely on the constant bombardment of thoughts in the mind, okay, that are constantly coming up. So you train yourself to get away from those by using initially that vitaka vichara, then you let go of it, but you're still aware of the breath. breath awareness maintains until fourth jhana. And then once you're in there and you have that solidity of mind, then you use that same initial insight, all that which is subject to arising is subject to passing away. And you use that to eradicate the conceit I am. Now, this is sometimes misunderstood as the conceit I. Buddha's not talking about the conceit I. He's talking about the conceit I am. This is from ignorance comes the wrestling of the mind. I can't think of the word they usually use, but some activity of mind, and from that activity of mind comes mana, and mana is this I am. This this is mine. This I am. This is myself, right? So that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to disengage yourself from falsely identifying, and that results in wanting to exist either without form or with form. So those are those 5 of the 10 fetters. Those are those 5 higher fetters, and they go in that order when you get up there, and that's how you're eradicating that. So that's what this I am is that you want to eradicate, right? That you're not falsely identifying with the khandhas or the elements, shaped into form and all that kind of stuff. You're letting go of all that. So it's a very clear, precise. It's kind of like a circle, right? And your mind has expanded itself, and it's come around, and it's come to the complete fulfillment of letting these false concepts cease, and so therefore you attain nibbana. Nibbana meaning no forest. In other words, the ancient world, they lived in the forest. Their towns and villages were in there. They just kind of cut them out. Their farmland was part of the forest. Everything surrounding them was forest. So that's where they got all their fuel, their food, their things to make clothing, everything. So they're trying constantly to take the things from the forest. So nibbana means you don't see anything that you want to take and build up, and utilize anymore. You've let it go completely like that. So you're not seeing the objective world as something that you need, for maintenance. Anyways, that's my view. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, sadhu. Thank you, Richard. All right. Well, we have come to the end of this sutta. Are there more comments? Did you have one, Venerable? Yes, please.
I think by the last practice about the contemplate on the not I am, not conceit, that's raised arahantship, which we discussed just now. Why those whys need some more practice. Yeah.
Sadhu. So, yes, Richard.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that the first 2 of the last 4, to let go of lust, right, and abandon ill will, those are of the 10 fetters. Those are the 2 that remain for the sotapan and for the once returner. So you're going beyond sotapan, attaining once returner, and then going beyond that and attaining no returner. And the no returner is the person who has as a noble attainment level person been able to go into the formless. Therefore, you've dropped off the 4 what do you call them? Material elements, right? So there's an actual directional pattern going on here. So, sorry, I just forgot to mention that last time. So thank you for listening.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for laying out how this is leading step by step to the end of the path. Karina, please.
Thank you. Yes, this might seem like an obvious answer, but I guess, does this have to happen in meditation? Like, are these basically meditation instructions, or like similar to that previous condition about, developing wisdom? Is it, I guess, is there like a mundane wisdom versus transcendent wisdom? Like, this seems like something, can you do it not in meditation also? I guess that's my question.
All right. Venerable Sangamita has opinions about this. Do you want to say?
I think to really get enlightenment, right, Nibbana, there's no way to do without doing meditation. Because what we understand here, like the mundane wisdom, we understand it theoretically, but what we understand, if compared with how we realize during the meditation, is different thing. What you experience during the meditation, the realization about the anicca and anatta, the non-self, this is really eradicate the factors, like what wonderful brother was sharing just now. So through meditation, this is one of the chapter we must go through. That's why Buddha teach about the sila, samadhi, and panya. Without the meditation, there's no way out to arise the real ultimate wisdom. Yeah.
Okay, so Ananea, you have a thought?
Of course, meditation is key, but it is possible. One meditates, and then the rising of insight comes from that, and it's the insight, the aha moment, and the realizations can come. Obviously, meditation is still key, but you can have the insight after you're meditating. It doesn't necessarily ergo a specific thing or whatever, because that happens inside the meditation. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so like I agree that you have to meditate at some point on the path. You're not going to make it all the way without. But I think also we don't want to read this and think that meditation is the only thing that we should be doing. Like, I think the whole point of this sutta is that there's so much groundwork to be laid and so much that we can be working on productively in ways that really are very accessible, like finding good friends and having the benefits of that and like this yeah, it basically that yes, this is a version of the gradual path, this sutta, which is one of, the most encouraging teachings I know from the Buddha, is that it's a gradual path. That, wherever you are, you can take another step forward. And it doesn't really matter where you are on the path. You just have to keep taking the next step. And if it's a long time, that's okay, as long as you're pointed in the right direction and you keep moving. Then there is this promise that it will have good effects. This is a noble truth that the Eightfold Noble Path has these good effects, that if you practice it, it will lead in that direction. And wherever you are on that path, you can just take the next step. And it's not all meditation, right? Meditation is a part of it. You can't go all the way without, but you can be developing so much that is important as the groundwork for your meditation, like being ethical. I think is a great foundation for meditation, right? And then the meditation is the foundation for for awakening. But just being ethical, you're already giving things up. You're already giving up some degree of hatred, some degree of greed, just through your, following the 5 precepts, some degree. And then that gets refined and refined and refined. And eventually you need the meditation to be able to refine it further. But all of this is just a process of becoming more and more refined over time as you walk the gradual path. So I don't think this is only in meditation. But yeah, but absolutely there is meditation involved. Yes, Karina, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that longer, deeper discussion, because that it changes the way I read the sutta. It almost feels like I have to switch at some point from like a general view of how to live my life to like not even moment. Yeah, I guess moment by more than moment by moment. In meditation, how I it shows me how to pull the information in from the sutta. How it gets more subtle, more specific.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really like this sutta because of that, actually, because it gives you all these different, different steps on the way. But yeah, there is like this big dividing line, though, that, Richard was pointing out at the time of Sotapanna, of stream entry. Um, the good friends are leading you up towards that point, and your practice up to that point is very much about things that can be done in daily life, like being ethical, taking part in talk about self-effacement, being energetic, having some degree of wisdom through studying the suttas, and so forth, all of which is founded on having good friends. But then at the time of stream entry, that's when they say one becomes independent in the Dhamma. They've seen it for themselves. They know it for themselves. They can stay on the path by themselves, even if they are apart from their good friends. They can probably go faster still with good friends. It's still really helpful to have good friends. But technically they've seen it for themselves, and they know the path for themselves. And so then their task is different from that point on. It is to be developing the additional steps that Richard again was laying out towards giving up greed and hatred, which are the next two fetters. And then at the point of non-return, once they've given those up fully, then working on the really refined stuff. The restlessness, the thinking, the conceit, I am, all of that. So there is sort of a dividing line. Like the friends will get you to a certain point, and then they can help you on the way beyond that. But there does come a point where there's like a shift, and for yourself, and you can carry on for yourself with that gradual process of refining. So, but yes, this is the encouraging thing: is once you're there, you can do it, and the friends can get you there. Yes. I think one last comment from Richard, and we'll need to close pretty soon.
Thank you. Yes, this idea of can it be done without meditation? So this 8-step mindfulness of breathing should be developed to cut off thought. So the thought that's being cut off by this type of meditation or other techniques, although Buddha says that breathing is the best, is this kind of internal dialogue that we all generally have, where thoughts are just coming up in our mind, and if a person becomes overly psychologically strained, they can have thoughts on something that just won't stop. Some kind of super obsessive thoughts. So this is this internal dialogue, and that's what you're settling down through meditation. You stop that internal dialogue. You still have thoughts, but those thoughts are dealing with, perception of impermanence should be developed to eradicate conceit, I am. In other words, you still understand things, but it's not like some internal driven process where thoughts are just coming up and you don't know how or why. And any strange thing can cause some series of thoughts, whatever, to suddenly appear in the mind. You do have thought, but that thought is totally controlled. It's totally under your control. And because it is totally under control, you can see very subtly the arising and passing away of things. And you can also see how you're falsely identifying. You're the one who's falsely identified. You're not being bewitched. It's not magic. It's not an illusion, right? Where something outside you, like a magician, is making you think something that's not really going on. It's a delusion. Your mind is telling you, oh, I'm like this, they're like this is like this, da 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 da, but in a delusionary way, which reaffirms your binding to this realm. So that's where the meditation comes in. It is possible to actually attain nibbana just by a super full penetration of reality, but that would take a super exceptional person. Even the Buddha had to master all the types of meditation all the way to cessation, the fifth formless meditation, and then he finally broke through. So there is a sutta where Buddha says that from first jhana you can actually break through and become either a once returner or become an arahant, or from second jhana, and he goes up through the list. Any one of these, it's possible, but you're most likely to be able to do it easily. Meditation should not be painful or suffering. You should not be torturing yourself. You should have a gladdened mind. That's why gladness arises as you're doing the breathing. Gladness should arise as the five hindrances are left behind, and you're seeing, oh, my mind is bright and clear, and I'm going towards nirvana. So gladness arises in the mind. And that gladness increases and becomes piti, and you enter into first jhana, like that. So the system is not torturous. Don't think, oh God, I got to go and sit in a cave for 10 years or something like that. No, if someone is holding that kind of thought, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with going to do higher meditation in a cave. But what I'm saying is that if you're torturing yourself with those kind of thoughts, you're misunderstanding something and you're not approaching in the right way. Gladness should be arising. Oh, I'm heading towards nibbana. I'm freeing myself from samsara. These should be happy, glad thoughts. They're not any kind of thought that should cause you to suffer.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Well, I think for some of us, the cave is the happy, glad thought. Yes, finally our cave.
Well, it can be. It can be. I'm just saying, for some people, they think it's a torture or something. Anyways,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Richard. Definitely that is the point here, is that these awakening factors that are developed by these vital conditions, the awakening factors are joyful. They have joy, they have peace. And equanimity is really, if you've ever experienced really deep equanimity, it's great. It's really like the best state. Even if very briefly, it's like, oh, you would remember that the rest of your life if you've even experienced that briefly. What is that like? So these are worth developing, and they're not unpleasant, and they're not torture. They're the opposite of that. And so I think we can come to the end here, just appreciating the Buddha, our great teacher, leading us, showing us the way, and setting up giving us the teachings, setting up the Sangha, the community of friends that carries this forward and helps us all to develop these factors and to lead towards awakening. So with that, let's close with paying our respects to the Buddha, the Dhamma, and the Sangha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi. Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami. Supatipanno Bhagavato Sawaka Sangho Sanghang Namami.
กราบระลึกถึงคุณเสด็จของพระสงฆ์ Thank you so much, Ajay.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you, Aya.
To my
Thank you,
fellow
Aya.
I
Thank you.
enjoyed this conversation with you and with all of you online also. Have a wonderful afternoon. We'll